OHIO, the Ohio State University national champions. Feels so good. Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, near Washington, D.C., where President Trump has been inaugurated for his second official term as president of the United States. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is January 21st. It's 11:11 a.m. Make a wish. Would you make a wish? Here, what would you wish for? Question of the day. All right. Make a wish. I hope that every day can be as great as yesterday. Yesterday, the day that Ohio State won a championship. And I care about that because I do a sports show called the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. I hope you find it on X and YouTube and Rumble and all of those places, Facebook. But it was also the day that President Trump came back in. Executive order, legislation, new policy. We're going to unpack some of the stuff. We're actually going to jump right into it. Let's make a wish, and make a wish that every day can be as great as yesterday. It's really the release. Imagine the frustration of President Trump and his team and his family being persecuted, being attacked, being lied about every single day, being framed, being set up, being targeted for assassination over and over and over and over again. Oh, I felt so much relief yesterday when I saw this inauguration. Seeing those former presidents in the same room gave me a lot of feelings. But the first feeling that I got was, okay. Okay. They're not going to take him out at the inauguration. You know, you just have concerns. Reasonable people could have reasonable concerns. But when you saw all those presidents right there in the same room, you're like, all right, nobody's going to do it. They're going to be safe. Because that's been a big concern, is the safety of President Trump. There's a lot of people, a lot of grifters, a lot of really bad actors who are unhappy about President Trump returning to office. Some people say where he should have been for the past 4 years. And in hindsight, look, maybe it took 4 years of misery to create something this stunning. They say a taste of honey is worse than none at all. But, wanting something for a long time, waiting for it, praying for it, hoping, agonizing, frustrating, so many emotions. And then when it does finally happen, it is such a burden off of the shoulders and the neck. It is the ultimate post-climax breath of release. Have you ever been to a chiropractor? There's a MTA, manual traction adjustment. It's done different ways. You might see videos called a ring dinger. They'll put a damp towel around your neck. They'll twist, spin it around, grab one side, grab the other side. The person's laying on their back. They'll hold it and pull. The MTA, you also put, it's like a head strap, and you have a handle and you pull. And essentially what you're doing is you're stretching all of these vertebrae, stretching them out, pop, 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 pop. An accordion, crunched together, an accordion released. It's all about the release. Oh, the first time I had one of those done was maybe within the past year. The breath that I took, everything from, right here, that's the last cracking spot, down mid-thorax, the abdomen, mid-body. That breath was fantastic. It was like I could finally breathe again. And that's how it feels having President Trump back in office. This past 4 years, I think it has allowed America and the world, really, to see what an absence of true American first leadership looks like. so that we can appreciate what we had in a different way. And that is my hope. My hope is that we're not going back to the nonsensical Trump hysteria ever again. I don't think it could hit a crescendoed fever pitch like we had for the past 5 years. You could say over the past 9 years, but it's sort of politics as usual. Sort of with term number one, but as COVID ramped up and things got weird in 2019, 2020, throughout that whole year as America burned and Democrats, the Minnesota Freedom Fund and Kamala Harris and Biden and Black Lives Matter bailing rioters out, setting the country on fire indiscriminately, just shrieking and burning and fighting. And there were a lot of deaths throughout that whole year. That was sort of a fevered pitch that's nearly impossible to match, perhaps only matched by what happened in the aftermath. Within moments, everybody's favorite new word was called insurrection. Oh, they repeated it as quickly as if CNN started using the word oligarch. And then all of the NPCs, the non-playable characters, oligarch, Elon is an oligarch, Trump is an oligarch. I learned a word called oligarch. There's certain phrases, when people use them, you can sort of tune out what they're saying because you can identify them as an NPC. An insurrection, that really was one of those terms. It was a protest. There's a bunch of people saying this is not legitimate. There's no way Joe Biden, this doddering old fool, this gross showering Ashley guy, showering with Ashley guy, allegedly, money laundering, as corrupt as they come. No way this dude got 81 million. No way all those swing states magically paused on election night and miraculously flipped hundreds of thousands of votes, exactly what was needed just to barely edge him out in all of the swing states. It was a protest. It was a mostly peaceful protest, and then some people did some things. And it was a dark day, but when in the aftermath of that, I guess the fevered pitch, the crescendo, got even higher. This was the chance they needed to take out Trump for good, to brand him as a traitor, to brand him as an insurrectionist. President Trump said, we're going to go to the Capitol and we're going to march and we're going to be peacefully and patriotically. He was deleted from Twitter. They deleted his account. He was no longer allowed to speak to the world. He was unpersoned. He was depersoned, so that the narrative could be set that was exactly the opposite of what he was saying. Remember the fine people hoax, the stuff that Obama and Biden and the Democrats kept lying to you about to try to inflame your racial sensitivities, to say, oh my gosh, he must be a monster. I must oppose him. Yes. You're not supposed to do that. But they did, nonstop. The fine people hoax was literally ignoring the words that were connected to the sentence. There were a lot of fine people on both sides. Not the neo-Nazis, not those people. But aside from those people, there's a lot of fine people on both sides. They have different opinions on history. I think, it was over a statue. And it's like, okay, well, maybe today we're not building additional statues to recognize moments in our country's founding, especially moments involving the Confederacy. But that's far different from saying, oh, Trump's a Nazi, he's an evil person, he's a racist, and all the Trump supporters are evil and racist. And see, what happened was they took January 6th, 4 years ago, and we encourage you to look at our coverage on the New American Media, on YouTube, on X. By the way, hit like, hit subscribe, please. Try to share our content. Type in the comments. I can definitely see your comments, and I would love to participate in the conversation. So if you have questions or comments, please leave them. They took January 6th and beat the Trump supporters over the head with it, non-stop. And the number of people who got wrapped up in the legal system is they were just trying to make it so toxic to ever support Trump publicly, even privately. They were just making an example out of him because they never wanted to make America great again. They wanted to be the professional pirates who were in charge of stealing the resources of our nation. But Trump got in the way. President Trump got in the way. So much so that they resorted to putting a bullet in his head. They, whoever they are, wish that he didn't make it past that day in Butler, Pennsylvania. The rest of us are glad that he did. But there were a lot of people. There were a lot of peaceful protesters that got caught up in the mess of January 6th. Giving a self-guided tour, getting a guided tour of the Capitol, walking around, taking selfies, staying inside the velvet ropes. Yeah, there's no denying that the protest got out of hand and some people did some things. But the majority of the people there were there to peacefully and patriotically make their voices heard to Congress. That is our God-given right. And so yesterday we went to the detention facility in Washington, D.C., and we spoke with some people who, one of the legal counsel, one of the members with inside information there, talking about the pardons and the commutations to close this chapter and move on. We saw executive orders yesterday or 2 days ago from Biden to pardon the J6 Select Committee, the Unselect Committee, the one that was trying to frame President Trump, hiding exculpatory evidence, deleting files that would have shown the level of involvement from Pelosi. You know, you had Cheney, Kinzinger. There are people that ran this coup. And make no mistake, it's a coup. It's treasonous activity to keep the president out of office like that, to frame him. And they did. They brought in Hollywood producers. They were editing videos to ramp them up, to change the content of what they considered to be facts. And oh boy, did they leave out a lot of important information that would have got in if there was anybody from the Trump team, from the Republican side, that would have been able to participate in that. There was none. There was none. Oh, you had Adam Kinzinger. Oh, you had Liz Cheney. No, you didn't. That was the deep state. That was not a representation of someone having the other side getting to, well, did you consider that it could have been this? How about looking at that? It wasn't. They were framed. And so yesterday, we did have a chance, and we did post it. It was an interview with Ashley Babbitt's mother, Mickey. You know, she was the only person shot that day, killed. Yeah, I mean, imagine that. So we talked to her for 10 minutes, 12 minutes or something outside of the detention facility on the day that people were hoping and anticipating that maybe these J6 prisoners will get out. Their sentences will be commuted, they'll be pardoned, whatever the verbiage and the legality that they needed to use. People were hoping that was going to be the day. Now, I guess 2 people did get out, but they went a different location and they didn't come out to the journalists and the supporters and people that were there to document that moment. But a lot has happened since yesterday, being out in the bitter cold, filming that, and today. So we have a little bit more clarity on that. But, you know, another point back to the Buckeyes real quick. Yes, I did broadcast this on the YouTube Buckeyes channel. It's the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. And so we did broadcast this on YouTube. And I just want to say, you know, the 4 years of President Trump being in exile, being maligned, and how tough that was to get through as a country, as a supporter of, you know, many what I consider to be many common sense policy choices. And it's like almost like you're living in a cuckoo clock. It's hard. It's hard when you wake up like that. But as a Buckeye fan, Buckeyes have not beat that team up north in 5 years. This is on the heels of Urban Meyer and Jim Tressel being dominant against them. And so for 4 years, I think 5 years ago was the COVID season, and I guess they didn't play that game. I'm trying to remember exactly, but I think it was 4 straight losses. And so on similar timelines, you had President Trump 4 years gone, but it makes yesterday that much sweeter that it's come full circle. It's gone back full circle, and we get to start. It's a huge weight of relief off of the shoulders. And so Coach Ryan Day of the Ohio State Buckeyes, I had called for him to be replaced. I said, if he can win a national championship, he stays. I said, you can't squander these teams. Ryan Day has NFL talent stacked on the Buckeyes, every position. And when you have that type of roster, you have to win. You have to win the games. And Coach Day did not get it done. But you know what? He did yesterday. He got it done. The guys are ready. This is a resilient team. And I'm super proud of them. I'm so happy. I am so relieved. I can take such a breath of relief. So let's get into the stories, shall we? And I believe I have some sports peppered in here. But here's a story. It's a migrant, Ciudad Juarez, who are waiting for their 1 p.m. CBP1 appointment. Learned 20 minutes ago that the app has been shut down and those appointments are no longer valid. So the CBP1 app, I believe, here, what's this post? I believe it was used for cargo, sharing cargo, transporting cargo. I don't know. I think it was for cargo containers or for truckers. And then Biden's in that regime started using it to flood America with non-Americans. And so yesterday, getting reports, that's done. That app is done. It's no more. We're over. Welcome to day one, everybody. Also, unfortunately, this happened yesterday. Michael Schellenberger pointing out, or, a day and a half ago, Michael Schellenberger pointing out Joe Biden pardoned Fauci. He says it's not an admission of guilt, but if Fauci were innocent, no pardon would be needed. The evidence suggests Fauci helped create the COVID pandemic and then covered it up. The investigation must go forward. All COVID and Fauci files must be released. Going back, about a year ago, he said Fauci said he had an open mind about COVID's origin, but he didn't. A new months-long investigation by Racket and Public reveals that Fauci secretly lobbied the CIA, the State Department, the White House to reject the theory that COVID came from the Chinese lab that his agency funded. And so Joe Biden, on his way out the door, wants to give a pardon to that monster Fauci. What he did to limit doctors from being able to treat patients in a way that they deemed most likely to be effective, that's one of the things that I point to that took my brother from my family forever. Monoclonal antibodies, Joe Biden came in and banned those and instructed that those are no longer to be given out, scaring doctors from being able to prescribe a potentially helpful therapeutic remedy for COVID and COVID symptoms. Shame on him. Shame on Joe Biden and Fauci for pushing stuff like that. Remember, it was emergency use authorization. They could claim blanket immunity. Oh, no, we're okay. We got emergency use authorization because there's nothing else out there that could possibly help people suffering from these symptoms. So they went after monoclonal antibodies. Now, they did it at a time where they said, oh, the strain of monoclonal antibodies, the current strain of COVID is no longer as receptive to monoclonal antibody treatment. So we're going to ban it. We're no more of that. We're done. We're not funding it. We're going to stop it. We're advising and we're telling you not to do that anymore. Maybe not. And maybe not every variant was the exact same variant. And maybe if the side effects are tiny, maybe you leave it out there as an option and you see what happens. And you allow people to work with their medical community to make those choices. That was taken. said, oh, there's a one-size-fits-all approach. We're going to pump you full of remdesivir. We're going to jam a tube down your throat. And we're going to collect checks. We're going to start crushing checks. If you test positive for COVID, you get a check. If you take the remdesivir, you get a check. If you get intubated, you get a check. And if we have to send you to the morgue, you're going to get a check. And that's what our medical system turned into because of that guy, because of that punk Fauci. And Biden trying to preemptively pardon him. I wonder if that's going to pass the sniff test. I wonder if that's going to be legal. I wonder if that can be challenged because the J6 committee needs to face justice for their criminal activities. Fauci. Oh my God. I have a hard time thinking of a person on this planet that deserves I have a hard time talking about Fauci. There's a lot that I want to say. Anthony Fauci should be regarded as one of the worst human beings that has ever disgraced this planet. Fauci should have to pay. There should be consequences for his actions that devastated. We're going back to the AIDS epidemic. Read the book that RFK Jr. wrote on Fauci. Did he ever get sued? Is any of that stuff proven inaccurate? 100% true, 95% true, mostly true, some true. Anthony Fauci has so much blood on his hands. And what Biden did to preemptively say, oh, no, you're fine. You're fine forever. No, you're not. And I'm not okay with that. So we're going to keep covering this story and we're going to hammer down. Even if all we get is to set the legacy, set the record straight on who Fauci, because we can't ever allow this to happen again. There will be a next thing that sweeps the world. That's as obvious as anything ever has been or ever will be. And we need to make sure that if/when it occurs next time, we're not going to fall victim to the same crap. We're not going to be manipulated this way again. We have to set the record straight and expose all of it. If you got a problem with Trump for pushing forward on Operation Warp Speed to fast track what, that shot, that mRNA thing that doesn't keep you from getting it, even with the pardon, we have to go after and do the full investigation to put it on the record what Biden and Fauci did. But if you got a problem with Trump pushing the emergency use or pushing the Operation Warp Speed and taking credit for it, I mean, if a medical industry wants to put a product forward and they're comfortable with it and it's gone through, you can either say this is experimental and you can take it at your own risk and we have no liability here, but here's all of the research we've accumulated, here's what it's shown. If you would like to participate in this, we're going to see if this thing works. And if you want to work with us and participate, that's not what they did. They fired people. They shamed people. They ruined lives over not taking that thing. And that's something we have to set the record straight on, just like we have to set the record straight on January 6th. So, Fauci. The other part of Fauci is that, how much information did they have? When did they have it? And were they misrepresenting efficacy? Oh, hold on. All these stories are playing. I did not want that. 1 second. There we go. I'll pause it. By the way, follow the New American Media on Instagram. We do like unpacking the stories there each day. You get a preview. You get the snapshot by following us on Instagram, and then we'll unpack it on the show. To me, it feels obvious and already conclusively proven the amount of deception that was put forth, both on the origin, because Fauci is directly responsible for unleashing this on the world and then becoming a gagillionaire off of it. What type of research that shows things like, oh, subjecting yourself to this thing can lead to all sorts of other things? If that stuff was hidden from us, that removes the liability shield. If Big Pharma put stuff out there that was intentionally and knowingly fraudulent, my interpretation is that will remove the liability shield and these places can be bankrupted. And if we've been lied to, especially about our health, especially about the side effects, yeah, these places do need to be sued into oblivion, into bankruptcy, so that it never happens again. We really have to look at the liability blanket coverages. By the way, for countervailing views, please visit cisa.gov/rumor control regarding the 2020 election. Go to the WHO website and who.int and cdc.gov for all medical issues, and go to cdc.gov/vaccines specifically regarding vaccine-related medical claims and political implications thereof. That's on the ticker at the bottom of the screen. I say that with a gun to my head, under duress, so that you can have countervailing views. Google thinks they own the news. You don't. Oh, we know what's right. No, you don't. No, you don't. You're just a platform. You're a library where people set books on the shelves. You don't have all the answers. You're not omnipotent. You're not God. And you definitely have a political agenda that clouds your vision, that clouds your judgment, that clouds your ability to react and to disseminate factual information because you're too invested in it. So, got the ticker at the bottom there. There's your countervailing views. I say this under duress because we're adults. We can talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about. You don't get to tell me I can't do it. It's a private platform. Section 230, you don't get the protections of being a platform while acting as a publisher. If you're a publisher, that's different. But the platform protections that these people have, I really hope we reverse course on Smith-Mundt, which Obama put in so that they could legalize and crank up the propaganda. And you saw it from CNN and MSNBC. They turned into propaganda outlets to attack Barack Obama's political opposition. Disgusting. Lies. Non-stop lying. I'm an adult. You can talk to me like an adult and you can tell me the truth. And I can decipher that how I see fit. I don't need a daddy telling me what I may and may not consider as a viewpoint. Continuing on here, Michael Schellenberger was saying the internal documents show that Fauci's allies, back to Anthony Fauci, internal documents show that Fauci's allies knew they couldn't prove there had been a natural spillover. Remember they tried saying, oh, it came from a wet market. Maybe a bat kissed a pangolin. So Fauci's allies knew that they couldn't prove there had been a natural occurring situation that released COVID, and they believed a lab leak was possible long after they claimed otherwise publicly. If that's the case, imagine what the unreleased documents show. This is following up on a previous Schellenberger post saying scientists studying COVID's origin told Congress last week that they were practicing science, but newly released private messages show Fauci's advisors they knew that they couldn't show a natural spillover had occurred and thought that a lab leak was possible long after claiming otherwise. They lied to you. They scared the shit out of you to trick you into taking their money-making product. Holy shit. I've covered this issue at length. I am almost out of descriptors and rage. You want to find somebody with a blank affect? The things they did to you, the things they did to me, the people they took from you, the people they took from me. You get it. I'm not going to belabor the point. Schellenberger again saying we broke the story that the first people... Oh, got it. Hang on. The first people to get COVID were the scientists in Wuhan, China, who were manipulating coronaviruses. Oh, and guess what? We just so happen to have the exact thing you need. Oh, wouldn't it be great if people needed this? Oh, there you go. Wouldn't it be great if they had to get this in order to be a member of society? So the first people getting COVID were the scientists in Wuhan, China, who were manipulating coronaviruses. Wall Street Journal confirmed the report 1 week later. It's time for the U.S. government to release the COVID and Fauci files. Too much is still being hidden. Of course it came from the lab. I knew that week one. We all knew that. Didn't stop them from lying about it, did it? All right. Did you see this? Did you see what some people are getting worked up about today? I it's going to be hard for me to care less about this than I do. How dare you raise your arm because it reminds you of somebody else that used to raise an arm. Get over it. By the way, here's some pictures of other people doing the same thing. You know, just for context here. He was talking about how important. Well, I wonder if I have the clip. Yeah, but there's everybody else. Yeah, there you go. It's so ridiculous. So, anyway, that's going on. But our commentary on this is pretty straightforward right here at the bottom. Stop being stupid and literal about everything. We're done caring about the faux outrage. Done. Over it. I don't have any F's to give. But you know what? Here, just for context, let me show you the clip. That people are talking about. Since I'm going to show you stills, I might as well just show you the clip. Here we go. Hang on, let me check the screen here. Can you see this? Nope. Let me switch it over. Share this tab instead. So here's what people are talking about, so that you can talk about it.
I just want to say thank you for making it happen.
Where's the volume? Is there volume on this one? No, that's no context. That's stupid. Come on. Anything with volume? No volume.
You know, there are...
Wait a second. He blurred his arm.
You know, there are elections that come and go. Some elections are, you know, important, some are not. But this one this one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you. My heart goes out to you. It is thanks to you that the future of civilization is assured.
Yeah, my heart goes out to you. Get over it. His heart goes out to you. My heart to you. It's just stop being stupid. Please, just stop being stupid. There's work to be done. All right, let's get back to work, shall we? But that's what some people are trying to have faux outrage about. I don't have it in me. I'm not going to super entertain it. Next. Let's go to Trump. Let's go next. So here we go. Volume. Where's the volume? Here's President Trump. President Trump has signed the first of many orders and proclamations regarding cabinet appointees and designees. He also signed a proclamation requiring flags to always fly full mast on Inauguration Day. So, you know, back to work. First term. First day in the new term. Busy Yeah, obviously, I'm in here. One of the reasons are the J6 political prisoners out yet? I won't be happy until they are. DC will slow walk every single thing unless. So yeah, this one, the realization that the 9/11 documents might actually be fully unsettling it. Yeah, you look at he's smiling, I'm laughing, looks over, and oh man, am I gonna really have yeah, I think it's gonna come out. Is the Trump is the Bush family implicated in the JFK files that are coming out? They say Daddy Bush was involved. Oh my gosh, can we find out what happened during 9/11? 9/11 was probably the thing that I've always been interested in the news. I've always been active. I've always been patriotic. I've always wanted to make things better. But I think it was 9/11 that really kind of shook me to my core and helped me realize just how bad things had become. And maybe they've always been this bad, but that was a special kind of bad. Benny Johnson here reporting. Yep, right now, hundreds of J6 political prisoners are being freed from federal prison. By the way, according to some of the people at the detention facility yesterday, I believe the number was close to or around, what was it, 40 or 60? Something like 40 or 60 different facilities across the nation. So they're not just being housed in Washington, D.C. They're all across the country. Benny, when he asked a DOJ insider how many J6 prisoners will be released, they responded with one word: all. ALL. So here's what Trump had to say about freeing the hostages through pardons. Almost. Here we go. Maybe.
And, tonight I'm going to be signing on the J6 hostages pardons to get them out. And as soon as I leave, I'm going to the Oval Office and we'll be signing pardons for a lot of people, And thank you to Steve Witkoff. He's a great guy. He's a friend of mine. He's been a very successful. And
so, a lot of people. Is it all? So we're waiting. We're still kind of, we were out there yesterday, and if this was going to happen day one, hoping to capture that moment, what we captured was a moment of people waiting. Marjorie Taylor Greene saying it's over. It's finally over. J6ers are being released tonight. Never forget what the Democrats did and how they prosecuted J6ers, but not Antifa and BLM. Never again, she says. Never again. Liz Wheeler saying Trump was impeached because he asked Zelensky on the phone about the Biden family criminal cartel. Today, which was yesterday, Joe Biden, in his final act in office, pardoned his entire criminal cartel family. So yeah, that happened. And woke General Mark Milley, Fauci, the J6 frame job committee, the hatchet men and women. So yeah, yesterday, Joe Biden, in his final act in office, pardoned his entire criminal cartel family, just like they always intended to. They were criminals all along, and they tried to take Trump out for noticing. Remember the Trump impeachment? I made a perfect phone call. I spoke to Zelensky. He said they tried to take Trump out for noticing that the Bidens were a criminal cartel. Isabella Maria DeLuca was pardoned by President Trump. She says tonight that happened, expressing gratitude. The DOJ wanted me to agree to a plea deal, which included a year in prison and a $100,000 fine. Tonight, promises were made and promises were kept. How about that? Let's go over to our X feed. Follow us at American_media_, please. On X. Rand Paul, he has thoughts. If there was ever any doubt as to who bears responsibility for the COVID pandemic, Biden's pardon of Fauci forever seals the deal. As chairman of the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, I will not rest until the entire truth of the cover-up is exposed. Fauci's pardon will only serve as an accelerant to pierce the veil of deception. Ignominious. Ignominious. That's a word I don't use often. Do you use that word often? I don't. I'm going to look it up. Deserving or causing public disgrace or shame. Ignominious. That's a great word. Anthony Fauci will go down in history as the first government scientist to be preemptively pardoned for a crime. Good grief. What is this clip here? Okay, let's take a listen. This is the latest. This is from yesterday, 11 hours ago. President Trump keeping his word and pardoning around 1,500 J6 political prisoners. That doesn't say everyone, but let's try to unpack this here.
I think this order will apply to approximately 1,500 people, sir.
So this is January 6th. These are the hostages. Approximately 1,500 for a pardon.
Yes.
Full pardon.
Full pardon or commutation?
Full pardon. We have about 6 commutations in there where we're doing further research.
Okay.
Nice to see you again.
Back in office. Good to see you again.
So this is a big one.
It is
Anything
kind
you
of
want to
cool thing.
explain about this? We hope they get them. We hope they come out tonight, frankly. You're expecting it. Approximately 1,500 people. Six commutations.
And of course, the question is, well, that was approximately 1,500 out of how many are not coming out? That's my question.
In many cases, you did not commute or pardon of people.
We're looking at different things, but the commutations would be the ones that we'll take a look, and maybe it'll stay that way, or it'll go to, full pardon.
And the order does require the Bureau of Prisons to act immediately on receipt of the pardons and commutation orders. Sir, this is an
Why don't we get that down so they can get them going right now?
Yes, sir.
Is that okay?
Yep, absolutely. This is a proclamation guaranteeing the state's protection against invasion based on the current crisis at the southern border. It invokes various executive powers relating to the ongoing invasion at the southern border.
Yeah. So there you go. That is the latest. So we're unpacking it all, and we're going to try to find out more as this gets unveiled. I'm going to run for now. I'll be back with a more full report as time permits. Hit like, hit subscribe. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you in a few. Oh, let me get this off the screen. Stop sharing. There we go. We'll be back in a little bit. Great day. President Trump's back in office. Buckeyes are champions. Take care.